We are up. This is the Hour Town with Troy By. We're rolling right along. And so this is your camera, Takara, your personal camera. And Takara Swoopes. I'm just going to say Swoopes. I don't want to say Swoopes. It's easier to say Swoopes. President. You're the president of Huntsville Magazine?
Oh, CEO. We're co-publishers, and I'm editor-in-chief. Yeah.
So co-owners, co-founders.
That's right.
Editors-in-chief of the Huntsville Magazine. Yeah. And did you, I'm trying to, now in Christian, CJ, what you go by, is your middle name is?
Josiah.
Yeah. Good biblical name.
Sure. It is.
CJ Byrd is not from here, so Takara's from Decatur. You're from Oregon. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk probably a little bit later about kind of how you all met and such. But, which I know there's a big story there.
Great stuff there, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Basically, you've been at it for about a little over 2 years, but your first issue didn't really publish till last year, right? So there was some ramp up.
Yeah, so we established the legal entity in summer of 2021. But that first 9 to 12 months, it was really just working on the concept. We went around the country and met with other publishers, and we went to these publishing conferences and things like that. So that first year was really just about. Honestly, it was just about moving here
and research.
Getting
we were
settled, doing the research, all that.
Yeah, we wanted to speak with other publishers and just kind of get best practices. Also, we wanted to know, we hear that print is dead. Is it really? you know?
Yeah.
And we discovered that no, it's not. For city magazines, local interests, hyperlocal type of publications, they're actually thriving in the country now. So
why would they say they were dead? Why did people have that impression or that perception?
Well, I think people think print is dead because they are looking at newspapers. Mm-hmm. And newspapers right now are struggling with their identity. And their business model, quite frankly, because most newspapers, they actually have, printers in-house, and they normally print multiple times a week, and their readership is dying. So, but that's not the case with magazines.
So basically what you're saying is, you're standing in your kitchen in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And you have this thought. You have this. You both had, and we'll get back to all the details. But just the high level glossy version is, you both independently sell your companies that you had founded. You're living in, I guess, was it Waikiki or Honolulu?
Kaneohe.
At that time, it was Kaneohe.
Kaneohe. Okay, on Oahu.
On Oahu. Yeah.
And you have this thought of gosh, you're from Decatur. You probably have a little bit of, hey, what's next for us?
Totally.
I want to go back to Alabama. I want to get back to family. You've got a huge family, especially on your dad's side, right? He's one of 19 kids.
Oh my goodness, you did your research.
I tried
sir.
to. I don't want to waste your time.
Yeah, he's one of 19. He's the oldest son.
That's amazing. And we'll come back to that, but but you have to have. So part of this is just the timing. You go to CJ and say, hey, listen, I've been looking into this. Let's target Huntsville. There's no magazines like there are in Birmingham or Atlanta or some of the other just city papers. And then I guess you start looking into the business model. Okay, what are they doing wrong? The frequency. And then ultimately right now, was it your plan from the beginning to where you're at now? It's kind of like it's every other month, essentially. Was it 8 issues a year? Is that what you guys are doing right now? You're doing more? Four issues a year.
So it's seasonal.
So
spring,
it's quarterly.
Summer, fall, winter.
Okay.
Quarterly.
Yeah.
So was that something that, how long did it take for you guys to get into that? We're going to do 4 a year. We're going to do it seasonal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think by in the planning phase, late 2021, we knew. I think that was after we had gone to a few conferences. We'd kind of looked at production schedule, and we had seen other publications start either monthly or bi-monthly and then shift to quarterly. And we just thought it's not a good look.
Yeah.
We thought, let's start quarterly, and then if we see either a demand or a need or a desire, we can
We
go
can
more
ramp it up.
frequent,
Yeah.
seems like a better look than decreasing
Sure.
frequency.
Yeah.
So we thought, all right, let's start modest. Plus, we started with our digital and social channels first, right? So that was the other part of it. Is we are a magazine, but we're not just a magazine, and we wanted to offer and be really digital and social first and forward. So the website went live first, and then Instagram before the website.
So our first,
Yeah.
the first 9 to 10 months, it was just Instagram and building HuntsvilleMagazine.com. So yeah.
Just Instagram as far as promoting, showing like here's this thing is coming if you're interested in being a sponsor, that type of thing.
No, we didn't even pump it out like this is what we're starting. This was our Instagram presence primarily focused on sharing things in Huntsville.
Oh, okay.
So it was a great way for us
Share
to
stories.
Yeah, it was a really great way for us to get to know the city, to get out and about, get good content, capture. We're a new family here. What is there to do? So we would just go out and, capture what we were doing as a family and just sharing,
Oh, I see. So just your travels. Your okay.
Or interesting places around Huntsville.
Like a vlog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. 5 best taco spots in town and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And so you started gaining a little bit of a following that way.
Yeah.
Where people just interested on what you all are up to as a family of 4.
Yeah.
Right. What are the ages of your kids again?
12, 10, 8, and 3.
Okay. I was trying to figure out when that 3-year-old. So that was 2020. And
Yeah,
you were still
he
in
was
Hawaii
born
when he
in
was born.
2020. He was born in 2019, so
Yeah.
late 2019.
Yeah. He's about to be
Before the
4.
COVID outbreak.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
right.
So give me an idea of those conversations in Hawaii, as far as were you on board right away, CJ, or you're like,
Sure.
Takara, you're nuts?
Yeah, no. Well, on moving here, absolutely.
Yeah.
We both wanted to be close to family, and this just made more sense. My mother and brother are both in Colorado
Okay.
at the moment, and we didn't feel any, other than them, we didn't feel any kind of roots or connection to that space at all. This just kind of made more sense, and we knew Huntsville was growing, and it just seemed like it had a lot of things to offer. So on Huntsville, yeah, all in. I think the moment where I thought Huntsville Magazine, I was like all in, was, it was the same conversation. The idea came up. She had done several like blogs that she'd been able to monetize. So the idea of Huntsville Magazine came up. First, we realized there wasn't one.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we realized that HuntsvilleMagazine.com and all
Was
of the
available?
social media handles were available.
Like,
we were
what's
we were
happening?
Wait, really? Like,
Yeah.
is it
I had that
actually
thought today.
available?
Impossible.
How's that even possible? We weren't sure how much detail to get into initially, but I mean, I'll just, full disclosure here. This, an exclusive for you, Troy.
Please.
I think it was like $1,500, and I thought it was going to be 15,000 or something
To get
like
started?
that. No,
the
the domain.
Oh, that was
HuntsvilleMagazine.com.
That was $1,500. Wow.
I mean, go and find city plus magazine
Yeah.
domain
Anywhere.
available right now. You can't, right? So I think at that moment we realized, okay, yeah, we're doing
Something's
this.
lining up here.
We're absolutely doing this.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, in each of the cities that we've lived in, so Tokyo, San Diego, Honolulu, we've always relied and sought out the city magazine. It just helped us to get to know the culture, get to know events that were happening. I mean, we just used them. We sought them out. We subscribed. We purchased them in the grocery stores. And so naturally, as we're, looking at moving to Huntsville, let's check out the city magazine and see what's going on there,
Yeah.
And we looked all around. I was like, well, maybe they just have bad SEO. So I was looking
Yeah.
on like the second or third page of,
Yeah.
Google search results. And
Second
I'm like,
page. Who does that?
I know. And I was on the
Is there
third
one?
page.
Third page. You're desperate.
I was.
There should
I
be
was
like
where
alarms
is
that go
it?
off when in some ISP somewhere, like someone hit the third page.
Yeah.
Someone hit. They should give you like a sticker.
And I just was like, wait, where is the Huntsville magazine? Because all city magazines, they kind of follow a similar, format. And we just didn't find it. We came across tons of other publications that exist here in Huntsville, but nothing that really looked or read like a city magazine. And so that's when I went to him and I was like, I don't think there's a Huntsville magazine and the domain is available. And he's like, what?
I'm like, just buy it now, because
He's
even
like,
if we
go
don't
buy
do
it
this
right now.
Yeah.
we can just turn around and sell it later.
Yeah.
You know what's in? So I've done the great thing about this podcast is after 82, 83 episodes, I've learned a lot, right? And kind of telling this story of North Alabama. Sometimes we focus on Huntsville. Sometimes it's Madison. We just had on actually from Decatur standpoint. You should listen to episode 75.
Okay.
With Ellen Didier from Red Sage Communications.
Oh, yeah.
And Decatur City hired them. There was a whole disaster with this company they hired out of Birmingham to do a branding for Decatur.
Wait, were they the same ones that did Florence's branding?
There
was like
I
a
could
big
look
debacle.
it up. It was not. It wasn't good.
Okay.
And it was a big waste of money. I think the city was like $117,000 that just went down the drain. They got nothing for it. And then they turned around and hired Red Sage, and they came up with Positively Decatur and everything positively. It was an awesome episode. And she's a tried and true Decatur person. And I even had John Joseph from the Entrepreneurial Center there. So it's fun. But the one that kind of sticks out, and the point I want to make is when I interviewed Ethan from the zoo, they're trying to build a zoo. And he actually, one of the few guests where I got less like massive PowerPoint presentation from him. I'm like, bro, I don't think we can go through 180 slides.
Ooh.
I don't think we have time for that. But the information was like awesome. Yeah. And the one thing that just sticks out in my mind is we're the 110th largest city in size in the country. So we're a secondary market. And I've even had Huntsville Generators, kind of like a VC firm on secondary market, right? Yep. We don't have a zoo yet. So like there's these things. I wonder if it's part of the assumptions we make when we come from, I came from DC, you've come from Honolulu, you've been in San Diego. People come from everywhere and they transplant in. And sometimes I think we might forget, like we're still trying to get there. Yeah. We're still trying to be a primary market, and primary markets have all of those things, those things, That's right. And we're still like, but we expect so much because, well, we have all these PhDs and we have all these engineers and we have all these jobs. Like, yeah, but we're still kind of growing. Right. We're still trying to get there.
Totally.
Right. Yep. To have all, and I guess that's probably the assumption you had, right? You had this impression of Huntsville. Oh, we're the fastest growing or the best place to live or second place.
Well, we didn't know that yet.
You didn't know that?
No.
That came after.
Yeah. Everything that we heard about Huntsville was that it was rapidly growing, economic development, tons of, like my friends would say, you wouldn't even recognize Huntsville if you came to the city now, So I was like, really? Huntsville? And they were like, seriously, it really is a growing city. And I will say, I did Google Huntsville. I went, when I didn't find Huntsville magazine, what really sold Huntsville for me it was the influencer community. So it was the content creators on Instagram. Yeah. And so I basically just searched and looked up every single content creator in Huntsville that I could find. And I followed them and I looked and I watched their videos and I just wanted to know, like, what are they doing? If you have young kids, if you have, elementary school kids, is there a big homeschooling community in Huntsville? Because we're homeschoolers, or we were. And I got to know Huntsville and love it before even getting here through social media and through content creators.
Got it. Now, why did you not consider Decatur? Or Athens, or Birmingham, as far as just coming back to Alabama?
Well, Birmingham, it was a toss-up between Huntsville and Birmingham, but Birmingham is an hour's drive from my folks, and I need to be close to them. I need aunties, uncles, grandparents, cousins. We need the full shebang when it comes to family, especially our children. And then I didn't want to move back to Decatur because it's just too small.
Yeah.
I mean, we've lived in major cities. I just knew it was going to be too small for us. And we were going to live there a couple months and probably move to Huntsville.
Yeah.
You know?
Huntsville is probably about the smallest.
It might be the
that
smallest.
we could do, really.
Yeah.
And I think also at that time, by the time we knew for certain we were moving here, we were all in on Huntsville Magazine too. And we looked at some houses in Madison too, because we bought sight unseen like before we even got here. But we also thought to ourselves, okay, wait, if we're going to start and run Huntsville Magazine, we should probably live in the city.
That's a good idea.
We're doing it. Right. So,
Okay.
that was a factor. It was really the family thing and proximity and size and all that. Yeah.
All right, so let's get to so you get past the Instagram phase, and now we're ready to really put some teeth into this. What do those first steps look like? Those first,
Well,
milestones.
So she's all things editorial and content. So like what you see, she's in charge of all of that. And then getting it from inside her head to this table is what is sort of my role in it. So you could probably speak about what it's like putting together one of these things. I'll tell you, I mean, we had to figure out everything because we don't come from publishing.
And we're not a franchise
at all. We're not a franchise. We don't have any. There's no other backing or anything. It's us, right?
Gotcha.
So I mean, I had to figure out how distribution works, right? And how you work either with distributors, how we're going to get this thing into grocery stores, how we're going to get it into mailboxes. Working with printers has just been, I mean, yeah, a small local printer for smaller jobs, yeah, not a big deal. But if you're going to print 15,000 of these things with a soft touch laminate on it, there's only a few around in the country that can do it all in house, right? So learning how to work with printers and all of that was, and I'll tell you, you would think with the printing press being, more than 500 years old, you'd think that they'd worked out a lot of the kinks in that industry. No, I feel like, you're dealing with, 500-year-old processes.
I know.
Yeah.
Because they probably just never really had the money to invest in a way.
Well, there could be that, and I think it's a tough time for the printing industry in general. I mean, it was already tough with mass market print dying or already dead, and then with COVID shifted there's so much online shopping, which was already happening, and then COVID exacerbated that. So the printers all blame Amazon essentially, which is not really Amazon's fault, but basically online shopping creates the need for boxes, cardboard. So all the paper
I see
goes to who can pay the money,
right?
And who can pay the money is Amazon for the boxes, and so massive paper shortages all over the place, and
good.
It's a hard time in that industry.
Yeah.
Well, if you are a customer, if you're a printer, fantastic. If you've got paper, you're king.
Yeah.
So were you, Takara, principally in charge of kind of approaching, I guess there's a few aspects to this. One is just sponsors. Hey, we got this idea, or, getting advertisements and such sprinkled out, but the other's places to carry it. I'm trying to find it. I know on your LinkedIn you have this awesome, I think it was at the 1 year anniversary, and it was kind of a reflection piece.
Yeah.
Where you're kind of going back and in a way putting a spotlight on, like, this was not that easy.
No.
And I've had
it was
I
so
just
hard.
posted, like, I'll have people on where we kind of talk about how, hey, Huntsville's awesome. We're so welcoming of new people, and if you want to be involved, you can be involved. And maybe that's just more on the nonprofit side, or you want to volunteer your time. Great. You've got some ideas of great capital improvement projects or economic development projects. But I guess there's a difference when it's that there wasn't that warm welcome, if you will, to this idea. In fact, even one store owner laughed at you.
Totally.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the pitch that ultimately they scoff at or they laughed at when you first went in? Give us an idea of what that looked like.
I think that what that particular person did was he just said nobody reads magazines anymore. Nobody, you remember the last time I subscribed to a magazine? And he just laughed. But he did have like a colleague or a family member beside him. And we gave him the magazine. He actually picked it up. He was like, wow, this is actually really nice. You should look at this. And he was like, nah, I don't want to look at that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's all I have to comment on that.
So it's just more of the idea of, from a business perspective, what do we, it's one thing for you all to get involved. It's another if anybody wants to pick it up, because that's just a dying industry is what basically the way they're looking at it. It's too risky.
I think there's two factors. So there's that perspective for sure, right? People are, they're coming in thinking they may confuse or mix, say, a local magazine like Huntsville Magazine or, Nashville or Memphis Magazine with something like Time or Newsweek. Right. And Time or Newsweek, they're never coming back to what they've done. Right. Anything like that where it's mass market, it's a cheaper thing, and anything that you can actually get on your phone like that in a timely manner, no, it's done forever. Right. But hyper local, high quality publications, completely different thing. So I think part of it is just they have a correct understanding that Newsweek is dead and is not coming back. But they've just mixed in hyper-local city magazines and things like that with that, which is actually the opposite. In most markets, magazines like this have grown steadily for the last 10 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we're proud of the communities we come from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And spotlighting local businesses, community members, pets, children, new store openings, like that's all compelling content. You want to know about your city and you want to know where should I go and eat. Like, oh, there's a new restaurant down the road, I want to go to it, I didn't even know about it. Like that's important stuff to know. So yeah, I think that what we offer is compelling stories. And when you look through the pages of Huntsville Magazine, like it's actual stories, and we pay close attention to our ad to story ratio. So I don't want anyone picking up our magazine and saying, oh, it's just all ads. I want you picking up Huntsville Magazine and saying, oh, there's actual stories in here. A lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit down and actually read these. That's something that it's very intentional. What we do with, how we lay it out, and our ad to content ratio is really important. And having a thick magazine as well is pretty important.
Yeah, I think that's about the experience of it as well too. So, I love my phone. I mean, I'm on that like everyone. I'm on that thing all day,
the time.
All day. But I think there's also a time where people want to put the screen down to kind of move away from that and pick up something and have an experience that they're engaging with. It's a little different, right?
Sure.
And that's why we opted for the high quality paper. That's why
cover.
There's the size that it is, the vibrancy of it. It's something that's immersive. I mean, one of the best stories was I heard from somebody. So the 106 Jefferson Hotel sells it in the lobby, and when we were restocking, one of the front reception staff, she said, "Oh yeah, we had some downtime, and I was looking through it, and I was reading it, reading some of the articles." And she goes, "I put it down, and I just felt great about living in Huntsville."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm like, "Yes, that is exactly what."
That's what we want you to
That's
feel.
what we're doing, right? A magazine that just kind of reflects back how awesome the city is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still the Jefferson, still it's a design element, right? Sure. Like you have coffee tables, you have things. Yeah. I don't think that's ever going to go away, where you dress up something, the appearance of something with a very nice book.
Yeah.
I think that's why National Geographic, right? If you think National Geographic, you're going to get some exceptional photos.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so quality wise. So what does that first, you get over the hump with someone. Mm-hmm. What's that first kind of big break moment where they get it? The light bulb goes off, or they're with you, they understand. Okay.
So I will say, I'm loving this interview, by the way.
Oh, good. We got a long ways to go.
Okay. Cool. I think that what both of us discovered was that Huntsvillians, like actual native Huntsville folks, didn't get it. They were just like, oh, we have several magazines. Like, what makes you different? It's the transplants, the people moving to the city, seeking that, city magazine. They got it immediately. So our first subscribers, our first advertisers, all transplants.
Really?
They totally got it. They were on board immediately. And they said, oh, I was wondering why Huntsville didn't have this, and you guys made it. I was looking for this when I moved here, and I'm so happy you guys are doing this. So that's what we discovered.
Yeah.
That there, and CJ can speak to this much better because he focuses on our sales and just developing the market. But what he's explained is just like, I'm educating our market on what a city magazine is.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's really been a market development project almost more than just more traditional marketing itself, right? There's a big educational component to it. So, when we meet with people, we'll often bring other city magazines along, especially if they haven't lived in those other cities or seen them, right? Because that's the other component. One is there's, a bit of mix up with, say, something like Newsweek. And then the other one is if you haven't seen a kind of full-orbed lifestyle magazine that focuses on a city, you don't really know what it is, right?
Yeah.
I've never even seen it. So, and that's totally understandable. I think but now, we've got a full year of issues out. People are starting to get it. They understand. Now they're like,
some traction now.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it is.
Well, and it doesn't hurt to win some awards.
It does not.
Right?
No.
That definitely helped.
Hold on, let's pull those up.
That was very fun.
Let's see. I think I have them here. I'm supposed to have them here. Here it is. Let's look at the screen. Let's go there. And let me do this. So 2 and 2. Boom. There you are. Okay, so you go down to Orange Beach? Is that where these were?
You got it. The Alabama Press
Man, they made you
Association.
drive.
But we did not pick it.
Yeah.
Sir,
Believe me.
that drive.
I looked. I'm like, is there any way to fly? Like, is there?
Both of us, our children were like, wait, can we fly?
They did not want to get in there.
Well, guess what? That's the first time I discovered a Buc-ee's on the way down to like that,
Right.
Buc-ee's?
Remember? No.
You don't know what Buc-ee's is?
Buc-ee's, the thing. We had a writer who applied, and she had written, the Canadian who had written how Buc-ee's symbolizes like all things Southern, right? Like
I thought it was pronounced Boosie's.
What?
No.
What?
Oh, wow. Boosie's.
I thought it
It's
was
not that
Boosie's.
bougie.
It's gonna make the highlight reel
Yeah.
right there. That's
No, Boosie's is where they
gonna be
sell
your
the.
nickname from now
That's Boosie's. I love it.
I've been pronouncing it Boosie's in my head the entire
love
time.
this
So
right now.
it has like a little chipmunk or something. That's the
Beaver.
A
Bucky-
beaver.
Yeah.
Boosie
Boosie the
Beaver.
chipmunk.
There's actually one 8 miles west of here.
Yeah.
So when you leave, you can go to Buc-ee's.
Yeah. There we go.
But we went down to, I guess it's about 50 miles from like the coast, and that's it was like last summer, and I'm like, I've heard about Buc-ee's, and they were in process of building one out here.
Cool.
But anyway, so that's the downside of living in Huntsville, not living like in Montgomery.
Yeah.
And you are all excited. You're gonna go down and be contenders for these awards.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And this is from like the Alabama
Press
Press
Association.
Association.
Yep.
And you win. Were you nominees in more categories than these 6, or is it just these 6?
So we submitted entries for I want to say 7 categories.
Okay.
And we placed in 6. So
Yeah.
not too bad.
And that was remind me what month that was in.
That was in June.
June.
Yeah,
And
we
so-
went in June.
You already had your first 4 issues done.
Yes.
Okay. And then that culminates.
Yeah.
So how was that? Were you well received? Were people like completely unaware of, other than obviously the press association, but
Right. Well, I have to say, I think that it was a lot of like, wait, what?
Who?
Because Their Vestavia Hills magazine, it's the darling of the Alabama magazines. And then there's Lake Martin magazine. And Jackson magazine, and all of those traditionally win, they rack up with awards regularly over the years.
Okay.
And these are publications that have existed for at least 10 years, at least, some longer. And normally when new publications come on the scene, and an editor of one of these told me this, that you have to pay your dues, so you might submit some awards, you might win something here or there, but you're probably not going to rack up until people really kind of get who you are and quality and everything. And so we were definitely an outlier.
Low expectations for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were definitely an outlier, in that when we went, honestly, we weren't going to go, but we received an email, and the email said, you have won one or more first place awards at the Alabama Press Association Media Awards Conference coming up. And I was like, one or more, huh? And I wanted to know
how many.
Yeah, I wanted to know, like, well, how many?
6 hours away.
Yeah. So, but we're like, you know what? No, our children miss the beach. We haven't been to the beach since we left Hawaii. This could be a fun little family trip for all of us. And, I kind of have a thing where I don't like driving more than 3 hours. So this really was just pressing a lot of limits for me. I'm like, ooh, that's a long drive. But, I'm like, we call the magazine, it's our fifth child. So I'm like, all right, it's for the fifth child. Let's go on down there and let's just have a fun family vacation. If we win an award or two, that's great, But we went in honestly with one expectation. I won't say zero. We went in with one expectation: we would win at least one first place award, and then everything else, it's just kind of like, all right, we'll see. So yeah, it was pretty awesome to receive these. And I think the one that was most exciting, there are three that were most exciting, but the one that was most exciting was the second place magazine of the year. I think that one was like, hey, we really got something here, and we should keep going. Yeah. And then because I do all of our design for website and layout, it was wonderful to get first place with best individual website and then the best overall design, because while I do enjoy designing, and I think I credit having lived in Tokyo and having just really enjoyed their beautiful, clean, modern design aesthetic. The influence definitely translates over to our magazine. It feels really good to, I didn't go to school for graphics design. I just really studied design and what looks good, you know? So that was really exciting to receive those.
So if you don't mind, let's kind of go through each of these.
Sure.
Somewhat. The best business. What business was featured?
For that one, best business feature, that was the Orion Amphitheater.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
And it was written by our feature writer, Erin Coggins. She's actually a teacher at Sparkman High School.
Oh, cool.
And she's fabulous. She's also our copy editor.
And then obviously the best individual website is your HuntsvilleMagazine.com.
That's right.
Yes.
Best $1,500 you've ever spent.
That's right.
Totally.
Then you get the overall design. That speaks for itself, right? The magazine. Now, and Magazine of the Year. Best personality profile. Who was that?
That was for Kelvin Wooten, the Grammy Award-winning Kelvin Wooten, and that was incredible because it was the type of piece where you're like, wait, Huntsville has Grammy Award-winning producers here, And it was wonderful for him to get the recognition from a local media outlet. You know, it was, I really love that we profiled him, and I'm so happy that, you know, we got something to note that.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think the combination of, you know, we'd hired a really high caliber writer to take on that piece, and also Doc did the photography for that as well. Our photo editor did. And I just think their talent, the combination of the photos plus the experienced writer dealing with an incredible subject, right? I mean, Kelvin is it's not easy to write anything, but he's a fascinating guy and an easy guy to write about.
Yeah.
That's good. Is this recording studio here?
It's in Athens.
It's in Athens?
Athens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know the Shoals gets all the shine for their
Right.
famous recording studio.
There's a lot happening here.
And now what about this photograph, the best single photograph?
This was photographed by our editor, Doc Savage, and he's fantastic. He is very well known, not just in Huntsville, but all over. And we were hoping... So something that I didn't realize when submitting is for each of these categories, I submitted one, but I could submit up to 3.
Oh.
And so Doc and we were really trying to decide between, you know, all these multiple photographs and everything. But we eventually went with one of Chef...
James Boyce.
James Boyce over at Cotton Row. And so that was the second place winner for that one.
And you could have done 3, but you just picked 1.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's still 1.
Yeah.
Man, this story just gets
year,
better and better.
Next year we're
So
stacking
next
them up.
year
We're
we're
gonna
like,
have 3 in every category.
Oh, just wait.
Watch out, Vestavia Hills. We're coming for you.
Well,
Star
was there
of
any, you know, I guess there was probably some hurt feelings in the audience, right? When you got your shine or you're the newcomer and like, huh.
I don't know. I think that there was a lot of, it might have been a lot of surprise, but everyone that we encountered and met, you know, within the publishing space in Alabama, they've just been very encouraging and supportive, you know?
Awesome.
Yeah, we thought that.
Yeah.
We thought people were quite happy for us. I think when we walked in to the initial reception, there might have been a little bit of skepticism. We're I can go ahead and say we're significantly younger than the kind of average
demographic.
At this event. Maybe not for the staff, but for those that actually attend
For
the award
publishers
ceremony,
and
right?
stuff, we're
So
definitely decades.
They're like
younger.
handing you their plate. Hey, can you take this to the
right.
kitchen? Like, I don't work here.
Yeah. So there was a little bit. There might have been a little bit of skepticism in the beginning, but no. I mean, I felt very a warm welcome as soon as we started getting to know people and at the awards thing itself. Yeah, it was a lot of.
It was great.
a lot of
I was
applause
like, wow.
Yeah.
It's nice to be a part of a new industry too, and getting to know people. And
Yeah.
it was cool. It was a cool experience.
Yes.
I'm waiting for the podcast awards.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know? We've actually gotten together. Before we hit record, we talked about Clark Dunn, right? He was my episode 38, and I think when I first got here, kind of similar to you, when I was looking to start a podcast, and like, okay, who else is out there? And Beyond Rocket's cool. That's a cool name. I wanted to have him on. Had him on, and at some point we met with a couple other like podcasts, more some of like the Successful Mama. There's a few that are just kind of geared towards either stay-at-home moms or working moms, the Busy Mom podcast, stuff like that.
Okay.
We all kind of like got together and just like met each other, and trying to enter that creator community. Although sometimes I guess I forget, well, I am 47.
Right.
I'm probably older than a lot of these other people. And I do forget that sometimes. Yeah. Like I could be their dad,
Yes.
But I don't let that deter me because at the same time, broadcasting wise, they're all old. A lot of these people are in broadcasting journalism or right, just on screen people.
Yeah.
I guess there's kind of a mix of ages, but yeah, I can't wait for that to. Maybe I should just spearhead it. We should have some awards.
Do it.
Right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Why not?
I
Let's do
think
it
you
together.
should.
Get someone we'll get Peyton. I was just at a function with her the other night. I know she interviewed you all on top of this article.
She's the
best. She's a riot.
We love Peyton.
Yes.
I got to tell you this real quick. It was at like it was called Collaborate, a gala, and it was featuring nonprofits, one of which was the zoo. And so she was like the MC. And at the end, they're kind of raising money throughout. And at the end, they did hey, just take out your phone and let's just donate, pick whichever charities, and then we could see the live results. Well, somehow my wife, I was like, hey, just go ahead and donate some money to the zoo. So she does, but they like take her name and put her on the screen as if she donated to herself. And so Peyton's like, who's Wendy By? Who's Wendy By? And I'm like, she's right here. She's right here, like, and they're like, how did that happen? She's like, I don't know. I donated. I followed the directions. I donated the money, and all of a sudden she's up there as if she gave it to herself. So I was like, yeah, we've started a nonprofit tonight. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, if anyone else want to donate, it'd be why.
But Peyton is really good on her feet.
Yeah.
She was a really good MC.
Yeah.
So that's
She's
cool.
awesome.
So that's cool that she gave you. I guess was that part of the Tennessee Valley Living segment that
It
you've
was.
on?
It was.
Yeah, we've been on a couple of times. When a new issue comes out, we'll go and meet with her and talk about that and what's coming up. And yeah, she's fantastic.
That's cool.
Yeah, big energy.
So let's talk about kind of near term. What's on the horizon? Okay, so we're through the awards.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But back to work.
Fun.
Yes, exactly.
So we're back to work. The next issue comes out when?
Any day now.
Any day
It's at
now.
the printer, so we're kind of at the mercy.
And this
of
is
the
your
printer
fall
and-
issue.
Our
That's
fall
right.
issue.
So yeah, fall is now. I mean, we're really focused on winter and spring now at the moment because
Yeah.
fall's a
Fall's
kind
done.
of done deal. I mean, we'll promote it with some fanfare, and it's always excited when it shows up in Barnes and Noble and Whole Foods and all that.
Yeah.
That's fun stuff. But yeah, winter and then on to spring as well. Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Well, we have our digital magazine. So one of the most popular requests that we get is, we have some readers who are very conscious about paper consumption. And so they say, it's a beautiful magazine, love it, but do you have the digital version? And so the fall issue will be our very first digital and print version. So
So
all
you can
of our
subscribe.
yeah,
Okay.
all our existing subscribers will receive an email where they can access the actual digital version as well. So,
Okay.
and this is really big for us because, as he said, we're always at the mercy of the U.S. Postal Service. And our magazines have to go through the Birmingham Processing Center.
Really?
And we don't know what happens at the
For, like,
Birmingham
inspection?
Processing Center.
No. Just how they're
Just
distributed.
everything goes through there or something. We have no idea what happens, but his mom might receive her magazine in Denver, tomorrow. And then my mom, who lives in Madison, won't receive hers until the end of September. And we're like, can somebody tell us what's going on at the Birmingham Processing
Wow.
Center?
Yeah, one of these days, I'm going to run a clandestine operation down there.
Investigative journalism.
Get dressed up in a ninja suit and go down there overnight and see what's happening because it is an absolute
Right.
mystery.
And so, our readers will see everybody talking about, look at the fall issue, look at this issue. And they're like, where's my issue? Where is it? And then they've subscribed, but they end up going to the grocery store, going somewhere else to purchase it because they want to read it immediately. Yeah. And I'm like, if I could personally drive it to you, I would.
Yeah.
But we're hoping that the digital version or digital edition will kind of like calm the anxiety a little bit. Like, here it is. We promise you it's here. It's just, once it leaves the printer and it's on the mail truck, we have no idea when it's going to land in your inbox or mailbox.
Do you remember this? You might remember this. There was a DHL commercial years ago where there was like this Texas businessman, and he's doing some business with these Japanese guys. And so he's like on this. They get on this like video teleconference to kind of. It seems like it's kind of post deal. Hey man, you guys happy over there? And like, yeah, man. And they're like, thank you for the beef jerky. And he's like, beef jerky? He's like, man, I sent you some filet mignon like 3 weeks ago. And they're like, or what? They're like, we just got it. It's a beef. So they're like,
It's beef jerky.
And it's like
dehydrated now.
It was this like perfect shipping commercial, man. Like just the stereotypical Texan with the cowboy hat with his accent. And then these Japanese guys like learning English. Like, thank you for the beef jerky.
That's
So
cute.
good.
And
So good.
I was just thinking about shipping delays.
That's it. That is
Man.
it. That is it.
Isn't that good?
To a T. To a
So right now, digitally on your website, is that just kind of talk me through what you do feature on your website now?
Yeah.
And then even when this digital issue comes out, does that change anything on like how we access Huntsville.magazine.com?
I think you can speak to that.
Yeah, so there is some content overlap, right? So some of the stories that are published in print do go to the digital format, right? To HuntsvilleMagazine.com. But really, they are two separate platforms, right? So HuntsvilleMagazine.com is mostly like highly shareable, shorter form. It's super well. The magazine is very visual too. But there's a lot of video, a lot of moving stuff, more event heavy on the website itself. So think things that you would, top 8 taco trucks in town, things that you would want to share easily. So the magazine, the digital version is not going to replace the magazine at all. The digital is literally going to be like a digital magazine, like you would see. We're working on the developer side of it. So eventually, hopefully sooner or later, it'll actually be in Apple News and Google News.
It's on Google News already.
Already on Google News.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's brand new. This is happening in real time. Yeah. Also, this announcement that current subscribers will get the digital version immediately, just for being a current subscriber already. So before we make the announcement, hurry up and subscribe.
I did this morning.
One
You
too.
did. We saw
There you go.
it.
Thank you, Troy.
you.
Yeah. So you'll get the digital one as well with that. So the digital one will actually flip just like a magazine. It'll be entirely everything cover to cover that is in the magazine, just in digital
It's
format.
just not paper.
I should give a shout out to Paula Namchef, who had you on her at the table.
She's fantastic.
The best.
Yeah.
She was my episode 30.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's really cool because I've entered into the the YouTube Shorts world, and the reason I do that, I don't know. Every platform is different. Like TikTok, you'll get kind of I can put the same clip on let's say Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, which I think are all very different, or even LinkedIn in their algorithms, and you get very different results. Just as far as it's what people want, their preferences, and all that. But we were chatting about barbecue sauce, and I was telling her about this awesome recipe. This guy, he has since passed away, about anchovies, in barbecue sauce. It's like the secret ingredient. Wow! And that clip is just done really, really well. As I go back through all of my old content, because I've got 180 hours worth of stuff, and I'm just pulling out 1 minute
Little
clips,
treasures.
and it's the whole shorts is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Versus the way I do stuff here locally.
Yeah.
Right. My Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook are kind of more hyper local, right? With my followers and things. But yeah, shout out to her because I definitely I watched it when it first came out.
Yeah.
And I think I rewatched it just to refresh myself on it. But
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm connecting. I think I said my dad was one of 19 kids on that.
yeah, that's where I pick up
Yeah.
little facts.
Yeah.
So
That's really good.
I appreciate Paula.
Do you have a favorite barbecue?
Yeah.
Sauce
Yeah. Or location around?
Yeah.
Controversial. But
my own.
He said my own.
yeah, there you go.
I'm
It
actually
has to be.
I'm
Has
getting
to
really
be.
good.
Right.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
when it comes to smoking stuff and all that, barbecue is tough. And I also don't think it's always fair if someone goes somewhere and it's like, I'm never gonna go there again. Okay, you went one time,
Right.
so why don't you go back and order something different? I'll just be like Ted's. I wasn't impressed the first time I went there. I would say so far, I think Jim and Nick's has been the most consistent.
Okay.
My other beef with barbecue, PBR, I've been disappointed.
Really? Yeah.
And my other beef with it is it's you don't get enough. A lot of times you don't get enough food. And
yeah.
I want turkey. You see oh yeah, I want the turkey and I want the brisket and I want this and this. And then you get your platter thing and oh my gosh.
Yeah. What is this?
Man, there's nothing on here.
You know where you
It's
get
just
enough?
bird food.
So it's a bit of a drive, but Big Bob Gibson's over in Decatur. You'll get
Oh.
enough. You will get enough. Yeah.
Is that the original location?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, what about down
Sixth.
in Tuscaloosa? There's supposed to be another famous place, although they've chained out a little
Oh yeah.
bit.
I
I
don't know.
haven't been there. Yeah.
Big Bob Gibson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
one to try. Yeah.
I'll try that.
You know, they're the creators of the white sauce.
Big Bob? Yeah, I love the white sauce.
Me too.
Did you eat that a lot growing up?
Yeah. I ate, so Bob Gibson's has really good baked potatoes. Like those potatoes are like this big. They're like the size of a football.
From the Costco on
Like
steroids?
you can literally eat the potatoes for like 2 days.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, and then they come stuffed with their barbecue chicken, pork, turkey, and it is just so good. And I like putting the white sauce all over. It's just really good. So, and then also, Decatur is actually a barbecue treasure trove because what people don't know is there's another barbecue place in Decatur that does the best pulled pork sandwiches.
Really?
Wits.
Wits?
Those
Okay.
pulled
But they're
pork
all over,
sandwiches are, I know, but I'm just saying, they have good pulled pork sandwiches in Wits.
They do. Fantastic.
I was just in St. Louis. I guess like St. Louis and Kansas City are kind of really well known. And I went to a place, I can't remember the name. It was good. But there were so many places to choose from.
Yeah.
And what about you? What's your
Brunswick stew also
Big
is
Bob
good.
Gibson your favorite?
Yeah. I got to go.
My pops.
Yeah, I got Bob Gibson's fantastic. I mean, yeah. So her pops barbecue,
Yeah.
hands down. If I can get this guy to teach me his ways, bucket list, Troy. You want a bucket list? Is learning her pops barbecue.
Well, I'll tell you,
good.
I just recently smoked some pork butts, and
Yeah.
a friend of mine was like, "Go down to Star Market, and you get this Bishop's. It's like a Bishop's sauce, which is like an apple cider vinegar thing." And he was like, "I've tried them all. You do the Bishop's thing, and then once it comes out, it's like, once it hits 165, then you pull it out of the smoker, and then you wrap it, and then you just douse the thing with this Bishop's, right? Fat side up." And then you can take it out at 205. Oh my goodness!
Okay.
And I was.
I'm going to give it a try.
It was so good. Yeah. And he says he tried everything. So I'm being like fortunate, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to take your recommendation.
Yeah.
But this Bishop sauce, or marinade, if you will, that they sell is so good.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Awesome.
And I love the Star Market. I love that whole concept,
Yeah.
like downtown.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever want to, like, once your kids, I know this is like tough because your youngest is 3, but do you think you might want to live in the downtown, more of an urban setting at some point?
Well, we've lived in cities, even with our kids.
Yeah.
I love living in a city. It depends on how long a term we're talking. If we're talking, 15 to 20 years from now, probably. But I don't think we're gonna get this one off of out of a little plot of land and a big porch and in the countryside.
That's right, because your
retire.
grannies are still sitting on the porch in Decatur, and they know everybody's business.
They do.
That's right.
They do. I didn't realize that my southern roots, man, they really, really start to show as I think once I hit 40, I was like, I want a house and a big wraparound porch and land. And that's what I want. It feels, I don't know. I just get a calming peace over me when I think about that, and I want grandkids to come to grandma and granddad's house and run around in a big field and play. And yeah. So I don't know if I want, I feel like I've done big city life and I enjoyed it and I loved it, but
Yeah.
I don't think I want that anymore. I kind of like slow paced living. Now, that being said, I am still interested in being a foreign service officer one day. And that will put me in any city or whatever. But, retiring, like when I think about, how do I want to die? I want to die in my home that's very peaceful, and I have land and I have family around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about ultimately. I know how you met, but let's the different paths. Quickly tell the path of let's say you graduate high school. You both graduate high school, and at some point you end up in Japan. And actually, let me say this first. And I picked this up again from Paula's podcast. I find it amazing. It's absolutely amazing, like the story of your father, right? You said one of 19, right? And in a period of time where there was segregation in this country.
Yeah.
And the areas where you're now selling your magazine were areas of stores he couldn't go into, back then. And then to do research. I love researching my guests. And I honestly, like, sometimes I feel actually maybe not good for my own mental health, because then I start feeling like guilty. Like, what have I done in my life? I'm a nobody. Why can't I be like Takara and CJ and like do stuff? But like we all have this, we all evaluate ourselves. But I look at just if nobody knew that, and they just saw like your story of going and the places you've lived, and you graduate. I was going to apply to Howard. You graduated from Howard,
Yeah.
HBCU.
You would have been accepted.
Yeah, this was like when I first got married, and I was just like looking. I ended up going to George Mason in Fairfax, Virginia, and we were newly married.
Which school were you going to apply to?
At Howard.
No, which school at Howard?
Oh, I don't know. I was just like, I had this idea. I was working in D.C.
Oh, okay.
In Northwest D.C., and I was finishing up community college, and I wanted to continue on.
Oh,
and
so undergrad.
Get my undergrad. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right, the undergrad. And I don't know, and then I just went to George Mason because it was closer or something,
Yeah.
but I thought about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, you've lived all these places, and you've done these amazing things, and it's just an amazing country, right? That provides. And then of course you meet this man he comes in on a white horse, and Prince Charming and whatever. At some point you guys meet up, but I just really was like just taken aback at just looking at your resume and the things you've done, right? And being a business owner and selling it and living in Oahu, which is not a cheap place to live, and the experiences that you've had for your children. So hats off to you. Like, just a really admirable story in your young life. And you got a long ways to go.
Yeah.
And you might end up in the foreign service, and you might end up in the covert world, right? Where we don't really talk about those things. And that's the world I came from.